from the lectern?
No, you should find it.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Blavatnik School of Government. Thank you to everyone joining in person. We have a wonderful turnout this evening for this important and inspiring event. My name is Kieran Martin. I am a professor here at the school. I have the privilege of hosting this evening's event and chairing the discussion later at the invitation of my wonderful former student, Miguel Moctezuma. This is an evening where we discuss matters of human horror and pain, but also inspiration. And we have three wonderful speakers to take us through it, a video, and then a discussion. Just as a short matter of housekeeping, if you do wish to ask a question and you're in the room, please wait for a handheld microphone to allow for the simultaneous translation into Spanish, which is being done for those online. And if you are online, please use the facilities via Zoom, and you can ask questions in either language. So disappearances, as many of you will know, are one of the most important and critical issues in Mexico. The astounding figure of 114,000 individuals reported missing. To put that number in perspective for a British audience, think of Wembley Stadium, fully occupied in the stands, but also on the grass pitch. Needless to say, the impact on the families is enormous, and 80% of these 114,000 individuals have disappeared since 2006, coinciding with the declaration of the war on drugs by the authorities in Mexico. So today, we will hear directly from Mama Buscadora, a mother who has experienced this reality firsthand and who chose to found a mother's collective so they could search for their children together. We will also learn about the Jalisco search protocol, which is unique because it integrates technology such as drones and machine learning. And additionally, we'll watch the project's documentary for the first time, a 9-minute video summarizing the insights gained in Jalisco and showcasing how families and technology are working together. My first privilege tonight is to welcome to the podium Lucía de Los Angeles Díaz, whose son was kidnapped in 2013. Those responsible never returned him to his family. From then on, Lucy has worked tirelessly in the search for her son and all missing people in Veracruz in Mexico. She founded the collective Solecito de Veracruz, which now has a membership of more than 300. The collective search led them to a farm called Colinas de Santa Fe, where they found 156 graves with a total of 298 human remains so far. The collective intends to continue searching until they can give every last one of those buried in these clandestine graves their identities back and send them home to their loved ones. Please join me in welcoming Lucy to the stage.
Yeah. I don't need the, okay. Thank you so much. I am really overwhelmed by the turnout tonight. It's amazing. It's hard for me to talk, to begin, because this is like Kieran very aptly said, stories of horror, but also of a lot of emotion and the good being outweighing the bad by far. And so I'll begin like giving you a little vision of what we do in the group, in the Solecito. Okay, so let's see. This is the search for the missing person. My case, Kieran already told you, it was a kidnapping. My son was Guillermo. He had employees because he had a business, and they were involved in his kidnapping. And what happens is usually when there are, people that involved, perpetrators are known to the victim, usually the consequences are really terrible. So we have this, what you see there, that's what we do. That's one of the graves that we found. And this is the collective. It's a group we began as a group of 8 mothers and searching because we met in these agencies that we go to, trying to get the police to go and search, to investigate. And so that's where we meet. And funny thing, that we don't have like an office or whatever. The Colectivo gets together online. We are the children of technology. And it has worked amazingly for us. So in the beginning, the goal was emotional support and to accompany each other and, to be there for each other, because this is a very, very lonely road and very sad and really, really, the darkest that a road can get. This is what we have here. For example, I always say, and in my case, that the hardest moment in my life, the toughest, the one that it was the most terrible, I was demanded to be up and going, because otherwise my son wouldn't be searched for. So I had to get up and go and get going. I wanted to lie down in bed all day, even die, but that was not an option. And that's the hardest time, and you're supposed to be the best, the toughest. It's hard. And I would like for you, to do it just, it's very simple. I want you to close your eyes. So let's try to do something a little bit. So you get the picture. Close your eyes. If you feel you cannot do it, you don't have to. So close your eyes. It's just seconds. I want you to think about that one person, only one, the person in your life that you love really, 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 with all your heart. And you don't know about that person, and you fear that something terrible has happened to him, that he may be disappeared, may be missing, and you don't know where to look for him or what to do. Exactly. That's it. You don't need to think anymore. How do you feel? I just want like a show hands, just 1 or 2 that can tell me what they felt. Anybody? Raise your hand.
Feels like something is being ripped apart from the fire.
Ripped apart. Exactly. Anybody else? Sometimes you don't even want to do it because it's horrible. Crippling. That's exactly what it is. You feel something being torn from you, and it's a desperation and uncertainty. It's a really black hole you go down through, and you don't stop, because this is never ending. It's like the more you think about it, the more you fall down that black hole. And it's just one thought that you have in your mind. Only one is that person. keeps coming to you. Everything you see, everything you do, it is torture. But you have to keep going. And that's exactly what we did. So we were confronted with the negligence of the authorities, with the omissions, with you see them, I mean, just by looking at them, you know, they don't have a clue. And they're not interested. They can care less. They're just there for their salary. And we are looking, we really need people to be prepared, to be professional, but that's not what we get. So we said, no, but if we get going and, you know, like get together and make a group of this is going to give us a lot of strength. And yes, it did work. Not as much as we wanted, because we still have our children missing, most of us, but we have found so many that it has been worth it. So today the group is more than 300 mothers strong. It's really, and when you think about it, most of those missing people or children, because they are all children of, you know, maybe 20, 25, in my case, 29, but we think of them as children, and they are, because that's what, you know, and you see them we're still looking for them, but it's we get together, and I lost my train of thoughts actually, but that's what we do. We try to talk about them because there's a lot of corruption in the agencies. And like I said, 300 mothers looking for the children. And those that we found, it's been so really satisfying for us. But it's a mixed feeling, because you want to find them alive. But that's not the way we find them. So our missing relatives range in age from 2 to 72. That's outrageous. Child, too. A little girl is missing, and we're looking for her. And a woman of 72, right now she's like 78. So we're still looking for them. Well, let me give you a little, let's say a little information about Veracruz. 48,000 square miles, and it's 428 miles of coastline. It's a very important economy, very important place. It's even beautiful. And but it's riddled with violence. It's because we had governors that were accomplices to the criminals. You see, the 3 governors sustained the power with the use of repression and force under the excuse of the war on drugs, because that's what happened. They brought the war on drugs, and which is a joke, a very, very cruel joke, because that's what they say. But they are part of the drug trade. So we had from December 2006, that's when it started really to develop into this massive amount of violence and insecurity in the country. The impunity is at a 99% official figure, which is saying it's all impunity. Corruption, the police and the security forces are complicit. So how can you find somebody, the person who's looking for him is also part of the same criminal group. The young victims are from 14 to 30. These cartoons are very, very, they tell what it is. You see, the supply and the demand, you know, like Hillary Clinton said, the Americans have an insatiable hunger for drugs. They are and so they want the drugs. And the countries that send it to them, like Mexico, for example, we get, because that's the way they fix things in the United States. They want Mexico to control the drug trade when they have a problem in America, because they have the addiction. Addiction is a health issue. But what they do, the government of the United States, is, okay, so Mexico, you have to control this, because American Americans don't want to do anything because they know they have such a huge problem. They cannot tackle that problem. So for them to pretend that they're doing something is like put pressure in Mexico. And that's going to take care of the whole thing. So long as my constituency thinks that I am doing something, that's what they want, just to pretend. Because you go to the United States, there's drugs all over the place. And you don't see anybody being arrested, like in Mexico, that they arrested the Chapo, they arrested Mencho, everybody, all of those kingpins, they were arrested. And there's always, a lot of a fight to arrest the criminals, of the big names especially. But you don't see that in America. Have you ever heard of the police, clamping down on the drug dealers? No, they arrest the minor drug dealers. They don't go for the big ones, So who is doing that? Because it's not Amazon distributing the drugs in America. It's people taking it from one place to the other. So they pretend that they're doing something, and they're sending a lot of weapons to Mexico, which is exactly the root of the problem. Because with that, if we didn't have so many weapons in Mexico, the violence wouldn't be so terrible. But so Americans, they send there was even a operation called Fast and Furious that was aimed at sending, imagine the huge idea, send the weapons to Mexico. And so the weapons had supposedly a little chip that would say where the guns were. What happened was weapons landed in the hands of the criminals, and the criminals took off those chips and began to use them freely. There were thousands upon thousands of those weapons. They're still going around in Mexico. It's so hard to get rid of a gun. They're really very tough instruments. So that's what happens in Mexico. That's the problem that we have. We have a terrible neighbor, very hypocritical and very, very addicted to. So this is, you see the pictures of the mothers of the forces. Over 100,000 missing persons in Mexico, over 52,000 unidentified bodies in the morgues in Mexico and common graves, over 3,500 clandestine graves. That's what we have in Mexico. But those numbers are very conservative. There's a lot more. Those are just estimations. So the problem, the data, it's so hard to get a real, let's say, accurate data on the disappearances because people don't report, they don't file the disappearances because they're afraid, they fear that the family members are going to be exposed to this criminalization and even to the criminals again. And so it goes on and on. Those that get reported are very few compared to the total. So we have family fears, retaliation, re-victimization, because that's what the government does. Like, okay, they were criminals. Disappeared? They were criminals. It's a very easy narrative because it covers two fronts. Okay, so I don't have to do anything because nobody's going to ask me, authority, to go and look for a criminal. So that's done. And at the same time, I make believe that I have a safe country. And that's what we're dealing with in Mexico. And there's a sexist context to very terrible. The girls don't get the same kind of, boys are stigmatized, but not as bad as girls. Usually, the girls, for example, when they are missing, when they go missing, their families don't even want to go look for them because it's even worse, the stigma, when it's a girl. So 100 girls, for example, there's 100 girls missing in the group, only 20 are going to get, the whole investigation and things, because the rest, the families don't even want to go to the authorities to have them searched for. So the lack of resources that we have, they say that we lack resources, but at the same time, you see a lot of things being done. And but recently it's a lot better now. Families get a lot more support than before. Doesn't mean that that we get really ahead, because the problem is it got to be so bad. So the Colectivo, we put political pressure. As you can see, we collaborate with authorities in the creation of laws. It's mostly that we create the laws and they have to implement it, because we have, and the families, we have had to take action. Otherwise, we'd still be in the same country like 8 years ago. We didn't have a law for missing people. We didn't. So the search in prisons and hospitals, we do that all the time, and search in clandestine graves. That's where we work the hardest, actually. So we give interviews, and we get together, visit the prisons, because there's such a mess it's so messy, really. In the prisons, that they don't know how many people they have. They don't know, sometimes they don't know the names of the whole population in the prison. So there might be one of the missing people from our group in there. So we have to go look, even in those places where the rehab places. Sometimes we go look for them over there. So this is part of what we do. We do Mother's Day March, Christmas. For Christmas, we put up a Christmas tree with the pictures of our missing children. And Mother's Day is a huge day for us. It's on the 10th of May every year. So we visit, like I said before, the prisons. Imagine, we would have never thought that we would have to go visit prisons, and we do that constantly, trying to find our children. We send this out like put it in the social media. This is what we call, it's like a search. I don't know how to call it here. Do you have a name? I don't know. But in Mexico, this is standard. You see a lot of these every day. This is all the information about the person that's missing, and the contact telephones of the commission that is in charge of looking for them. And also we have there our contact numbers in the email of the Colectivo. This is us just, relaxing, one of those searches that we do on the graves, and we are searching for our loved ones with dignity and respect. It's very important that we do, because once you see, the worst thing that a person can lose after the life has been lost is the identity, because that's exactly what says that you were here, that you walked this earth. It's nothing more. It's just the name, the identity, and the person that goes with that identity. And when somebody loses that, it's like losing everything. And that's what we don't want our children to lose. Because as this is saying, when the child is alive, the mother has to see to it that to keep his life. But when you don't know, well, in this case, we don't know if he's alive or not, we have to keep his memory or her memory. And that's it's very important. Even, in the Roman times, when they had this memoria, they erased the person completely, and that was supposed to be the worst kind of punishment. They did that, and we don't want that to happen with the children. We want to find them, because if how are we going to be sure that if they lost their lives or not. We need to close that circle of uncertainty and not knowing. It's important for us too. And besides, in a clandestine grave, there's no name, there's no date, there's nothing but the bones of the person, the remains. And it's like losing everything. And as human beings, we just cannot allow that to happen, especially not our children. So you see, this is, let me tell you what we do when we find out about a clandestine place where there are graves or something. Usually we get reports from even the criminals, or by some means we get the information. So we go and look for them. This particular place, you wouldn't believe what happened. This is a very important anecdote. Like I said before, we march on the 10th of May, Mother's Day. And on 2016, we were ready to get out and start the march. And two men came out of a pickup truck, like a bat out of hell, and gave us copies. The minute we couldn't, there were too many of us getting together. So we didn't pay much attention. They just handed out the papers to us, and we grabbed them, and it was like 15 copies, and they were all copies of the same thing. Those men left the same way they came, just disappeared. They got on their pickup trucks. We didn't even notice what kind of truck they left. And then when I saw the copy of the piece of paper, I saw there was a map. That was the map of this place. That's where we found 156 graves with a total of 302 bodies. That's a lot. And so we use a iron bar, one of those construction bars. It's very important because then when the guys talk after me, you're going to find out more about this. It's very important. So this is like 2 meters, 3 meters long. And we put that bar, we had to have them made because they don't sell these. So we put another bar on top. It's like a T. And we hit it on top. It goes all the way down the ground. And then we take it out slowly, nice and easy. And we smell the whole thing. We go around, smell. You're going to see that now. Well, this is the place. There's a map of the place. It's, one of those satellite pictures. We smell the bar. And if there's like a trace of this smell of decay, it means that there might be a body there. Like I said before, you hammer it down into the ground all the way down. Then you take it out slowly, smell it. And if the smell is positive, you have to make a big hole. And then that's it. This is what we find. This is exactly, this is me. I use my picture because, I don't have any problems with copyrights. And this is what we find. And there's a lot of danger there. There's snakes that you see there. We found so far 14 snakes, the long ones. And you see the clothes of the victims. The grave was obviously a girl. Bodies are kept in plastic bags in most cases, but those bags break. They rip, so we can, and you see this, the clothing of the victims, the bones, we see that. You see those, like I said before, the construction bars over there. It's terrible when you see this. When you see the clothes of what they were wearing, it's so hard because you see there was a life there, a lot of experiences. And you see, there was a girl there in one of those graves. You can see the ponytail. It's so hard. You get to see things that would break you if you didn't have to continue this. you'd give up. This is what we did. We started making DNA tests to the families, because a lot of families don't have the DNAs, and we need them to contrast with the findings. And so we had to go around, you know, testing people. And so far we have like 3,000 profiles, which is very important. We need a lot more, a lot more. But we're still, well, it's a work in progress. Like I said before, the Christmas tree with the pictures, this is how we celebrate this. We don't really celebrate, we commemorate Christmas. Because everybody else is having fun and putting up the Christmas tree. No, we do this. This is what we do. Because our lives is all for our children, missing children. And the context of the colectivo, and that's it. I don't know. Do I have time for the questions?
We put you to that at the end.
At the end of the whole
That's okay.
thing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, well, I'm sorry that this is all improvised, but do I have more time to?
I think
Nobody's taking time.
Take a little bit of time.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, take a little bit of.
Oh,
please take a
okay,
little bit
okay,
of time.
okay. Oh, all right. Sorry, but you know, I'm not a professional, and my producer here forgot to take the time. Anyway, this is what we do. We go, like I said before, this is hard, this is tough, this is really a nightmare. But this is not like a nightmare that you wake up the next day. It's not like that. You know, there's this, I don't know if you're familiar with Albert, maybe you must be, Albert Camus. And there's, he says, he talks about when his book, The Plague, he talks about the unending defeat. This is what we feel. It's an unending, it never ends, because we keep trying. And maybe, yes, we advance a couple of steps and then we go back to more. And then that's what happens to us. But we don't give up. It's like it's not an option. And maybe we say defeat, but at the same time, we are getting ahead. Because at least our children can say that their mothers are looking for them. They're struggling, they're fighting. And I've been, you know, doing this since 2013. And I told my son I would never give up. And so far, that's exactly what I have done. So there is a victory in that. And I'll keep at it. That's the way it's going to be. And it's like when they talk about victims. I hate that word. I don't want to be, you know, like thought of as a victim. I don't want that. I want to be victorious. And to achieve what you want is not always the victory, but to keep trying, you know, like I say that. But I know that, you know, sooner or later, that's exactly what's going to happen, that I will find closure somewhere, somehow. I do believe that, because I've been working so hard that I know there's got to be some closure sometime. And the other moms too, because this is, like I said before, 300 moms, and you should see them. They are amazing. There's nothing I can tell you about those ladies that you can imagine how they are. They are really, really, really special human beings, really amazing. There's nothing like the mothers. When we set our sights on something, and when that something is son of ours, a daughter, some child of ours, there's no way to stop us. We just keep going. I don't mean that the fathers cannot do this. And people say, well, why do you think it's the mothers? Why? Because we know them longer. We know them usually for 9 months more than everybody else. Know them longer, know them better. And we show it. And in this case, like you see, we are 99% mothers in the group. Why is that? We don't give up. And our children can count on us. That's what we say. I'll be there. I'm going to, because I know, the chances are, if it had been the other way around, that I've been missing and my son looking for me, he would. I'm just glad that it's not him, because I wouldn't want him treading this road. I would never want a son of mine looking for me, or a daughter. I have other two children, son and a daughter, and I would never want them to do this. But I do this for my children, and you wouldn't believe it's not even heavy. I don't have any questions about what I do. I don't have any kind of I don't go around, like blaming my luck or whatever. That's not something we do in the group. In the Solecito. No, we don't go around like feeling miserable for our fate. It's not like that at all. We just keep fighting for our children. That's what we do, victorious. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. No, you're welcome.
Thank you so much, Lucy. It is impossible to respond to that with anything other than humility and admiration. Thank you for sharing your experience of what I think, if we heard you correctly, you described as an unending nightmare, but also an unending fight for dignity and respect. And that fight in and of itself is a form of victory. So let us now turn to another aspect of that fight back, inspirational in a different way. And I will welcome to the podium in a moment Victor Avila, the Commissioner of the Jalisco Missing Persons Search Commission. Jalisco has become the first state in the whole of Latin America to develop a search protocol that uses drones, multispectral cameras, sensors, and machine learning. The protocol was developed using 2 experimental sites chosen for their different soils and climates, and they're currently developing 2 more sites with the aim of gathering enough evidence to be able to apply this approach in other Mexican states and beyond. So Victor serves as the commissioner. Prior to that, he was an advisor at the Secretary of Planning and Citizen Participation of the government of the state of Jalisco, where he helped establish the state system for the search of missing persons. Please join me in welcoming Victor to the stage.
Good afternoon to everyone, and good morning to everyone in Jalisco. First of all, I would like to greet all the searching mothers in Jalisco and all of Mexico who are the object of our work and efforts. And personally, they are a very, very potent inspiration for our daily life in my office. And well, having said that, first of all, what is the Search State Commission? It was created on April 16th, 2018, after the combined efforts of thousands and thousands of mothers, wives, daughters, sisters, who fought to have a legal framework and new institutions. It is this concentrated organism dependent of the state general secretary with the task of finding missing persons. To do this, the state law for missing persons gives it 58 tasks. Among the most important are the search for missing persons, finding partners, operate, manage, and follow up on the actions and efforts displayed by other authorities who participate in the search, and the identification of missing persons. And a very, very important core principle which the commission, the search commissions are bound by this, is the principle of deformalization. This means that we don't need to have a person present to report someone missing. If we see a publication on Instagram, Facebook, or even the news, we can begin the search with that. And that is because the mothers demanded institutions that are not rigid, that can respond to the ever-changing reality of this missing persons phenomenon, which mutates very often and very quickly. It is made up by 4 directorates: the Families Attention Area, the Search Area, Management and Processing Information Area, and Analysis and Context. The size of our challenge. Until the 28th of April, there were 116,350 missing persons in Mexico, according to the National Search Commission. And until the 31st of March, there were 14,704 missing persons in Jalisco, according to our state registry. The Jalisco State Commission has 169 public servants. And of course, those are very few people, but from 2019, well, December 2018, when the governor Alfaro started his administration, the commission had 3 persons. So I have to thank the governor for giving us the funding necessary to hire more people, but above all, the efforts that he himself has made to use technology developed in-house. As far as our state registry was developed by our own programmers using open code source. We have an internal system which connects all the areas. That was made also internally. And the project which I'm about to show you is also made with, obviously, partners, but it was developed by the people who work at the commission. Now, the research project. This is a very powerful phrase that summarizes the project. From my rotten body, flowers shall grow, and I am in them, and that is eternity, by Edvard Munch. And that phrase summarizes, first of all and foremost, what the searching mothers have done, because they were the first to notice that plants grow bigger, greener, they have more flowers, they have more fruits where there are mass graves. They are the ones who, just like Lucy said, they invented this artifact, the T-shaped rod, and they are the ones who made us, the authorities, look to that problem and give them a legal framework and a whole array of new institutions to deal with this problem. This research project was born, as I said, from the knowledge the searching mothers have created and accumulated, but with a scientific foundation and order. The state governor, Mr. Alfaro, has been very insistent that the institutions which are in charge of searching missing persons and prosecuting the perpetrators use all the technology means to carry out our activities in the safest and fastest manner, and always respecting human rights. In fact, there is a conscious decision to have science-backed processes, since it is the only way to uphold the progressiveness nature of human rights. Human rights have advanced a lot, but they keep advancing. And the only way to guarantee that they keep advancing is to use technology. Because technology, what we can't do today, we will be able to do it in a month, or 6 months, or a year. Technology keeps advancing, so that's a core principle we are using. The next step is finding allies. First, the first one who joined us is the Jalisco Institute of Forensic Sciences. This institution is rare in Mexico because most scientific areas as far as forensics goes depend on the state attorney's office. But this institute is completely independent, so they are not biased. Centro Geo, which is part of CONACYT, which is the National Council for Sciences. In fact, I have to thank Centro Geo for being the bridge between them and Oxford University. They knew Miguel Moctezuma very well, and they have been developing this platform by which they have mapped all of Mexico, taking into account the nitrogen in the soil. Natural nitrogen cycle goes up during the raining seasons and then goes down during the dry seasons. But in the places where there are mass graves, it just keeps going up. It might go down a little bit during dry season, but it keeps going up again and up and up. The Polytechnic University of the Guadalajara metropolitan area, it's a small university dependent of the state government, but they are mainly focused on food, industrial processes, and of course, tequila industrial processes. But they have been very generous in lending us their labs, lending us their technical capabilities. The University of Guadalajara, the National Autonomous University of Mexico, Oxford University, ProAn and Ciclos GIP are private businesses. ProAn donated us the pigs, which we are using to emulate mass graves. And Ciclos GIP, they have donated CAT scans of the area where we have the forensic experimentation sites. So we have other means other than the drones that I'm going to get to detect what's underground. Now, what to do next? We needed to calibrate the multispectral camera drone with the chemical signatures of real or simulated mass graves. Now, bear in mind that this technology is not new. Multispectral cameras are mainly used in the agricultural industry to measure the levels of chemicals the soil needs. But since it is chemicals that decomposing bodies gives off to the ground, that has been very, very handy. We opened 2 forensic experimentation sites with 16 graves each, with a 65-kilogram pig in each grave. And they are buried in the same manner as we are finding in the field, as Lucy said, and the pictures you saw, which are gruesome, but they are reality. Segmented in plastic bags, cremated with acid, cement, and with just a blanket. This way, we begin to distinguish the different chemical signatures. And with the collaboration of the specialized state attorney on missing persons, we have their permission to collect earth samples from the real mass graves. And we analyze chemically those samples to know what to look for with the drones. These are images of our 2 experimental sites. In other parts of the world, especially in the US, they call these body farms, but we don't think that's a very appropriate and respectful title. As you can see, there are 16. 4 of the graves in each site belong to the Jalisco Forensic Institute because they are we are interested in what is happening above ground. They are interested in what's going on with the decomposing bodies. They are tracking how the decomposition of the bodies proceeds a long time. And well, you can't see the letters, but the little charts there specify how they are buried. We have two different depths, one at 1.25 meters, and the other one's at 75 centimeters, which are the standard depths in which we are finding mass graves. We had to diversify the technology to meet the requirements of day-to-day searches. So we started exploring a technique using technology to find water beneath the ground, which is being used in Spain to find mass graves from the Spanish Civil War. We also use georadars. We introduced forensic entomology and botany studies. And we recently started using low-frequency seismic sounds. This was our first chemical test in a real mass grave. And differently to what we thought, the temperature. This picture was taken at around noon. It was about 32 degrees Celsius, but the temperature beneath where the bodies were was higher because of the decomposition. It's also more acid, obviously, and there is much more humidity. And those are all factors that we process either on our graves, our simulated graves, or in the real graves. Our first discovery of what we call territory aptitude in a real mass. And here I would like to make a parenthesis. Part of this technology we took from the US Army. They developed a technique to find bin Laden. And they used a system by which they pondered certain elements. For example, they were looking for someone who had a heart condition, so that person could not be above certain level above the sea level. They were looking for someone very tall, unlike the people in Afghanistan, so he couldn't mix in areas where there were primarily shorter people. So they keep discarding factors until they have a few options. But then we couldn't go any further with that. And we developed in-house the next part of the cycle. We started adding options because if we identified one person in one of those graves, then we could learn more from the others because of the time frame in which they were buried, because of the characteristics, specific characteristics of the person, such as scars or tattoos, implants, etc. So this was a real grave, and we started measuring the normalized difference of vegetation index. And on the picture on your right, you see the red spots, which coincide with that index. And that's exactly where the graves were found. Also, we started studying forensic entomology because we can also determine the time frame depending on the type of insects which appear. We have a certain type of fly that arrives in the first few days, and then we have other beetles which come after, which eat the larvae of those first flies. And then you have other insects, which it's a whole chain. So we have the means to determine with a very high degree of certainty the time frame of this mass grave. This is an image of what we are finding using the radars. And on the picture on your right, you can see the graves, but you can see those disturbances. And fortunately, we can see in most cases those disturbances, but not in all. So that means we have to combine all these techniques to get a more certain result. This is the CAT scan of the Earth. And it's as I said, it's a technology to look for water, but we can also detect the graves using this. But the difference is that this technology is more focused for deeper graves. In Jalisco, as I said, they're not very deep. They're about 1.5 meters most, but we have found other graves which are almost 3 meters deep. And even in one case, after 2.5 meters, we found a concrete floor, 30 centimeters thick, and beneath that, we found the bodies. So with the previous technologies, with the drones, we would never able to find that grave. And this is, actually, these pictures have were taken about a week ago. This is the low frequency seismic sound. And it does basically the same as the CAT scan. We can see what's beneath, see? And to safekeep this acquired knowledge, we are writing a book, because we are next, on June the 2nd, we're going to have state elections and also state and federal elections. So there's going to be new administrations both at the federal and the state government levels. So in order to safeguard this knowledge, we're writing a book, and which we hope will serve other commissions and even other countries. Well, that is just what I said. And what are our next steps? Artificial intelligence and machine learning are the logical steps, because as commissions, we have a lot of information pertaining the type of soils, which are in all of Mexico. We have information where other graves were found. We have the information pertaining domestic violence, school desertion. Those are all factors which contribute to the disappearance of people, because as mammals that we are, all mammals when they are subjected to an overcrowding environment, violence erupts. So even the design of the houses impulses the disappearance of people. And this is an effort which the state government is making, first and foremost, to find those that we are still missing, to give comfort and finally give the chance for the mothers to start the grieving process. Because as Lucy said, it's a nightmare that they wake up to every day, because there is nothing more horrible you can do to a human being than uncertainty. And these are the efforts which the state government and the state commission are making to meet that challenge. And we are looking for partners everywhere, and we are very grateful for this opportunity. First and foremost for Ms. Neri Woods, the Dean of the Blavatnik School of Government. Thank you very much, Mr. Karen, professor of this distinguished school. And I have to say, I am thrilled to meet you. I'm a big fan. I know you are the foremost expert on cybernetic security. And I would like to thank Miguel Moctezuma, who has been the link between many of these steps. And also, and foremost, the mothers, because they are the ones who are suffering. They are the ones who are setting the example for us. And they are the ones who are suffering. And we as government have the obligation to ease that suffering, but above all, and that's still pending work to do, we have to prevent it from happening. We are, as state search commissions, we are producers of very valuable information for other areas of the government, which can help solve, which can help prevent this, such as the Education Ministry, the Health Ministry, Culture Ministry. All of those ministries have now our information, and we have begun a permanent working group with all of these institutions of the state government, and we are providing them with this information in order to help them develop prevention from each of those fronts. So there's nothing more but gratitude from us to the searching mothers, and we hope that this technology, all these techniques, can help bring a little bit of ease to that horrendous pain. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Victor. And I was struck when Lucy spoke, she talked about meeting apathy and indifference from the state and from government services. So I think we'd all want to pay tribute to you and your team for building such a powerful set of ingenious capabilities from nothing, and the drive and vigor that you bring to that work. I am conscious, for members of the audience, that we are beyond our allocated time, but this is not the sort of event that I think we would want to skimp on the detail. But please, if anybody needs to slip away, please do so without embarrassment. But I would like to turn to the next steps as Victor ended his presentation on, and welcome our last presenter, who will introduce the video on the Found documentary, and that is Miguel Moctezuma, who Victor spoke about. If I can introduce one lighter moment in such a serious and sad discussion, Miguel briefed me extensively on the project and on the people who would be speaking, and characteristically put in his notes, whatever Kieran wants to say about me. So this is the little bit that I get to do on my own. And Lucy described him wonderfully as her producer. To me, he's one of the finest students I've had the privilege of supervising at Blavatnik since I've been here. He has a great combination of characteristics which I think make him such a powerful and impactful advocate and driver of this work. He's extremely nice. He's extremely capable. He's very driven by the right values, and importantly, he's very hard to say no to. So if I can welcome Miguel.
Thank you very much. I'm very conscious of time, so I'm going to keep it slow. This t-shirt that I'm wearing belongs to a wife looking for her husband in Jalisco. So it's obviously more than a t-shirt. It's also a story about loss. And through this project, we've been interviewing a lot of mothers to gather knowledge. And what I can tell you is these stories are not just about loss. They're also about what they call finding signs in nature. And I'm going to tell you one story very quickly, again, because I'm very conscious of time. I won't mention the name of the search group. They had a call. They got a call. They knew where to look for a potential grave. They got there. They saw 3 trees. One of them was taller than the others. They decided to go to that one. I'm going to stick some of the process, but eventually they discovered that the roots of the tree were connected to the grave, and that was the tallest of the trees, which means the tree was nurturing itself from the grave. It was getting the water and the nutrients from the grave. So we gather these stories because we believe that that's the difference in this search protocol. It is, instead of the vertical, traditional one in which decision makers and experts are designing the protocol, in this case, is also being nurtured by the knowledge of the mothers. And we believe that in this context is what makes the difference. So what you're about to see is a documentary on exactly this process of gathering this information and working alongside mothers. I said I was going to keep it short, so let's present the video. Thank you very much.
In the early hours of the morning, scientists fly a drone to take multispectral photographs. In order to analyze and find anomalies in the soil, the first measure must be taken before sunrise. 2 more flights will be carried out on the same day. Around 3,000 photographs are gathered in a single flight. Nitrogen is sampled within a test field, which is enclosed by a fence. Nitrogen enrichment, the excess amount of nitrogen which is released by organic matter, in this case, bodies which have been buried under the ground, affects the nutrient content of the soil, producing an increase in chlorophyll in plant leaves. It is possible to detect these anomalies using multispectral cameras fitted onto drones.
La tecnología hiperespectral, sobre todo, que es esta tecnología de registrar muchas bandas espectrales, lo puedes entender como muchos colores, algunos de los cuales no vemos a simple vista, pero estas cámaras sí los pueden registrar. Ahí se ve la malla.
This test field, one of multiple sites, was built within a university. In each field, 16 clandestine graves are simulated. These fields serve as training grounds for authorities and researchers to develop a new search protocol. To replicate real-world scenarios, pig carcasses that have been donated to the project undergo processes such as fragmentation, exposure to extreme heat, and wrapping in plastic or blankets.
Había personas que estaban desaparecidas aproximadamente desde hace 1 año y medio, y por eso estamos poniendo frases que llevan a que una persona pueda ver esta investigación, pero con una sensibilidad, que sepa de lo que estamos intentando y de lo delicado que es.
Ya con esos insectos llegan en el lugar de la materia orgánica, sea vegetal o humana, llegan, reposan y ahí nosotros vamos diagnosticando que hay algo echándose a perder.
Hay ya algunas experiencias efectivas de personas buscadoras, mamás sobre todo, que en la búsqueda de sus hijos o sus hijas han visto flores, han interpretado flores y se han dirigido hacia esos espacios. Han encontrado el cuerpo inhumado de su hijo o de su hija. Eso pues tiene una explicación, ¿no? Hay una explicación de por qué puede haber flores particularmente ahí, por el aporte de fósforo, por el aporte de nitrógeno, por el aporte de humedad y de agua que un cuerpo proporciona al ciclo natural del suelo.
Es justamente de las familias de donde las autoridades extraemos ese conocimiento para ir construyendo toda la institucionalidad que tiene que generarse alrededor del tema. Estos esfuerzos no son al azar, sino que son precisamente una concentración del conocimiento que ellas tienen, pero dándole un orden científico.
Nos han tocado riesgos en varias búsquedas que hemos tenido, pero gracias a la comisión y a la gente que va a apoyarnos, nos resguardan, o sea, nos sacan antes de que pase algo. Sí nos ha tocado, pero miedo yo no tengo, la verdad, porque yo creo que lo perdí cuando desaparecieron a mi princesa, Tania Berenice Quesada Rosales.
Todo lo que nos han enseñado se me hace algo muy novedoso para mí y muy bueno, porque es la punta de lanza que yo creo que va a dar muy buenos resultados.
A new measurement is conducted, this time assessing how the different elements in the ground are absorbing, reflecting, and transmitting energy, specifically spectral reflectance.
Lo que tiene este instrumento es que nos permite conocer cómo refleja la luz el suelo en diferentes longitudes de onda con bandas muy delgadas, de tal forma que analizando esos datos nosotros luego podemos proponer el tipo de cámaras que se requieren para hacer esas búsquedas.
Sin embargo, este espacio no se podía abrir y desde luego sin la
A
presencia
museum titled Interpreting Nature to Find Those We Are Missing is inaugurated, displaying the analysis results and reflecting the progress of the research.
La importancia del museo va justamente en sensibilizar a las familias precisamente del uso de la tecnología. Ahí pueden ver en fotografías o la colección entomológica que estamos creando, reflejado lo que ellas ya han visto en campo.
Hay otras muchas técnicas que diferentes grupos están probando, desde el uso de entomología forense, es decir, el estudio de insectos, el estudio de las plantas, así como técnicas geofísicas para ver algunas anomalías en el suelo.
This collective effort will benefit not only governments and researchers, but, most importantly, the families of Mexico's missing thousands. These families have studied life to understand death. Some strategies used in this project were initially observed, practiced, reproduced, and shared by mothers searching for their missing sons and daughters.
Y donde quiera que ando, inclusive en el tiempo que sea, yo veo girasoles porque le encantaban también los girasoles y las margaritas. Y donde quiera que estoy, hay nada más un solo girasol o hay nada más una sola margarita. Y digo, ay, aquí va mi princesa conmigo. O sea, casualmente voy caminando y voy encontrando, y sí lo creo.
They discovered that certain plants grow and bloom before others. They found their children in the flowers.
Please, Robert. No, it's all right. It's all right.
Conscious we have kept you, I know willingly and hopefully inspired, for longer than we promised. We'll finish, I think, around the top of the hour, if that's okay. Now, very keen to hear from, if anybody has a question or a comment. I can track some online as well, at least I hope so. But perhaps anybody in the room. Yes, please. And the microphone is on its way. Thank you.
A quick question. I don't know if there's already a project here in the University of Oxford or in the UK with Mexico and their institutions to link all this technology, like, for instance, let's say in Oxford, we have the project of the NASA Center here, well, the Space Center, sorry, in collaboration with NASA as well, and the University of Oxford, talking about satellite imagery and with the different schools, like the medical school, the chemistry schools, all of them with the different projects, and link them with the universities in Mexico or with the government or federal or local governments. Do you have something already in mind?
Well, I think I'm connected. Well, we can say we are in this process where we thought that today was a landmark in like a very specific step towards bringing more allies and partners to Mexico. And again, we're very conscious that in Jalisco, there's going to be a change of government very soon. The plan is, as a team, eventually try to expand the efforts to another place. And that's exactly what we're thinking about, incorporating new partners and insights into the project. There's people with very specific knowledge. For example, I'm going to mention, sorry, but you in the spot, but Kate from the Global Security Program here in the Blavatnik School of Government. Her expertise is in tracking flows and mapping, and she's willing to join the project. So this is an ongoing process, and it is going to happen. Yeah, and thank you, by the way.
Is there another question in the room? Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your very powerful and important work. My question is, what are the efforts that the government is doing to connect this very important evidence with the ongoing efforts to prevent and stop the disappearances in the first place? And I know there is change in administration, so how can you best go about using this evidence to stop this, to connect these two? Thanks.
Thank you very much. As I said, the best answer we have found to preserve the acquired knowledge is this book. But even more important, we have been showing this project in depth to basically, well, most of the mothers groups in Jalisco. And if they appropriate this project, it has a lot more chances to keep going. Those are the only two tools that we have right now.
Thank you. I think we had a question somewhere in the middle of the room. Was it, lady? Thank you. Now I'll take one more from the room.
It's a similar question. Do you have any stories of perpetrators being brought to justice in the final closure on the story?
This is an ongoing experiment, and we are just getting the data. So it has been used now to develop the pre-search on the field studies that we have to do. Before, when a mothers groups comes to us and they have a specific point, we don't just go there on the moment. We send part of the team from the context analytics, and they study the field, they study the criminal incidents, they study the soil, so that when the mothers go, accompanied by us, we can now go to very specific points, because that is also, I forgot to mention that is one of the goals of this project, to minimize the time that we spend on the field. because the longer time we spend on the field, there's more danger. Because the criminal groups are around us every day. And we have security, yes, but with the most, if we have the entire army with us, even, there could be problems. And that's another sort of blanket of security that we have, that our institution does not prosecute. We're not interested in who committed the crime. We're just focused on finding.
And we'll take the final question from the room here. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for the presentations. My question goes regarding this is a really innovative project, but just in Jalisco. So what are the possibilities that it can be replied in other states, such, I don't know, Guerrero, Cuernavaca, Morelos, that also have like these high indexes of lost people?
Well, that depends. First of all, if we remain on the job that we have now. And second of all, we have invited other states. We have shown them the project, but that's their decision, not ours.
If I can jump in just really quickly, being from Zacatecas, a different state than Jalisco, and we're deploying, obviously, the idea on a personal level would be to very quickly move to different places. But from the policy perspective, it also makes a lot of sense to have results at the local level. So instead of talking to the national level or even to other states about a potential good project, you can show them the results. And I think that's the difference in Jalisco. So we thought that as a team, we could collaborate to produce the results. And we believe that's going to be a very strong, previous step to eventually go to the next one. So the plan is to move to different states and eventually national, and hopefully, as you said, beyond.
So just to finish, because we've got apologies to those online who've asked questions that I can't answer, but I'm going to finish with two quick fire questions, one for Miguel, one for Victor, and then a longer one for you, Lucy. So the two quick fire ones, because they're largely factual. Firstly, for you, Victor, when will the Commission in Jalisco publish its book?
We hope that it will be published in September.
Great, thank you. Miguel, where can we find more information about the FOUND project?
Yes, so Kate developed a webpage last night, and I sent the background to the AV team. So hopefully before the end of the presentation, it can be shown in the video so you can see it. There's going to be a QR code, and you can see the video there as well. That's the one. Thank you very much, Kate, again.
Oh, well, Lucy, final word to you, I think, appropriately. The various questions in both English and, insofar as I can read it, Spanish, coming from Mexico and from here and probably other countries as well. Just a lot of people who don't have technical expertise, who don't have some of direct experience of the horrible issues that have affected you, some don't. But there's a lot of people saying here, how can they help in a general way, either in Mexico, how can they help the Colectivo, either in Mexico or even here? So what sort of things would you say to, there's about 5 or 6 questions of that flavor.
Yes.
So I thought I'd give you the last word to say, how can people help?
Yeah, that's, one of the core things of all these things. Being here, you being here today, is just a huge demonstration of love. And for human beings, this is what we are made of. And as mothers, why we do everything is for love. And these moms, in the group, like I said before, it's a little army of working mothers. They really go beyond their means, to try to find their children and everybody's children, because we don't work only for ours. So there's a lot of love in this that we do. And maybe some people think, okay, so she doesn't suffer anymore. No, the pain is there, but we have to work around it. And a lot of people ask us, how can we help? Because they feel like there's nothing they can do, But what I say is be creative. There's always something, always something. For example, we put up the information of the missing children in our missing children, missing persons on the web, Twitter, Instagram, wherever. So why don't you just reply, just keep them going. So maybe in one of those retweets, maybe it finds its object and you don't know. So just a little thing that you do may go a long way. You don't know. So it's important that you try, be creative, whatever you can do. It's always something, and you can come up with something too. And maybe surprise me, like Miguel, when he came up with in his and the group, when they came up with this, there's a lot of work into it, a lot of love into it, and I had never expected that somebody would find that that link and try to use it. So try just to be creative, whatever you can do, whatever, just by thinking about it, by putting your heart to it, like these mothers, they deserve some sympathy, they deserve some, love. And that's when we get ahead, because that's just what you can do. We just want that. We work hard, we do a lot of work, we do it, even beyond the government. In other cases, I'm not saying I'm Victor, but please just try to be creative about it, but do something. Just don't go to bed without doing anything for the other human beings. Whatever walk of life you choose, it doesn't have to be the missing, could be something else, but do something, because we need massive doses of activism in the world. You just cannot turn your, you head to it. You got to do something. And in the case of the missing, whatever you think it's little, no, it's never little. It's a lot. It means a lot to us. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate you being here today. And I really love you all for that. Thank you.
The perfect last word.
There you go.
Thank you. Thanks to everybody who joined online. Thanks to everybody who came in person. But most of all, thank you to Victor, to Miguel, and especially to Lucy. Have a good evening, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much.